Slime Rancher is a first-person farming simulator-style game released in 2016. You play as Bee, a young girl who just moved from Earth to the far, far range, 1,000 light years away from her home. The very basic gist of the game is to collect slimes, make money, and upgrade your ranch so that you can have more slimes, similar to a lot of other farming or life sim games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. But what sets Slime Rancher apart from these two is its distinct gameplay. While Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley are both third-person games, Slime Rancher puts you right in the driver's seat in a way those games don't. While Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley offer extensive character customization, there's a layer of separation between player and character. In Slime Rancher, though, you are in the driver's seat, which offers a far more immersive experience. Oftentimes, I forget that Bee isn't me while playing. It feels like I'm the one on the ranch catching slimes and growing fruits and veggies. It's really nice escapism, to be honest. This is true for a lot of FPS games, since the character is usually silent and more of a player insert than a character in their own right. But this video isn't about that. Bee is her own character. She had a life before coming to the far, far range, but we'll get into that a bit later. One thing all these games do very well is offer escapism from our harsh reality into a more welcoming and soft one. And God knows we all need some of that after the past few years especially. But even before the pandemic, people needed an escape from a world where it's really hard to be happy, a world where things don't always work out, and a world where that fact is often ignored in favor of a dream to strive for. When we are born, there are certain expectations placed on us, and those expectations only grow as we get older. As we grow up and go through elementary school, middle school, and into high school, there are certain milestones that we're expected to hit, especially once you hit late high school. The expectations of being able to drive, having a job, and becoming a self-sufficient adult is enough to crush a person. Not to mention the pressure from seeing your peers and even those younger than you doing these things and more. So how can we expect ourselves or others to be happy or content when the expectations of just living are suffocating? We can hardly live. So how do we find happiness and success or our passion? After you graduate college, and to a lesser extent, even after you graduate high school, you're essentially thrown to the wolves and expected to fend for yourself. What a lot of people end up doing is crawling back to their parents, either for financial support or for a roof over their heads, while they try to figure out their next steps. This isn't true for everyone by any means. There are plenty of people who don't have to do this or just can't. Regardless, however, after you finish your formal education, you're expected to take what you know and use it in the real world, but what you know might not be what you need. We aren't taught how to do our taxes in school. We aren't taught how to properly cook or manage finances at school. These are things we're expected to figure out. To an extent, I guess this works since none of these things are going to be the exact same for everyone, but then why is education typically taught in a one-size-fits-all fashion? We are told that there are different learning styles and that we all learn differently, but very few accommodations are made with this in mind. We are all still taught the same way, and if it's not working, somehow it's our fault and we get punished in the form of bad grades. It's like trying to fit a square in the circle hole. It really doesn't work. All of this to say, it's very hard to find yourself in a meaningful way. As we are pushed along through the education system, there is little to no breathing room for self-care or investigation of what we might want moving forward. While we're all being made to fit in a box, life keeps us so busy that we never have any time to think of ourselves and what we want out of our short lives. But this is where these video games come in to help with all this. In Slime Rancher, there are a few NPCs we get to know throughout the game. The ones we're going to be focusing on here are Mochi, Ogden, Victor, Hobson, and Casey. Mochi, Ogden, and Victor are NPCs who request items from Beatrix in exchange for money or other rare items. They help you progress and offer some company without ever actually meeting you face to face. They all have their own unique ranches and accompanying mini-games where you learn more about them and their stories. They all learn from Beatrix and her generosity after you help them, but what I want to focus on is their passions and specialties. Victor is a programmer, Ogden is a farmer, and Mochi is a businesswoman? to be honest. I don't know about Mochi's thing, but just go with me here? They all pursue their passions, despite their former lives. Ogden used to be the CEO of a major instant food company, but after finding out that the food was full of chemicals and preservatives that were hurting people, he was ousted by the board of directors and then decided to pursue homegrown crops instead. Victor is a bit of a social recluse and doesn't see the value in human relationships, running simulations about interaction rather than partaking in it. While still mainly being a scientist first and foremost, he wants to be a musician as well. He has an appreciation for music, which leads him to reconnect with a colleague with similar music tastes. Mochi, and this might be a bit of a headcanon, but Mochi doesn't know what she wants in the beginning. She was put out on the far, far range by her billionaire father, but isn't on good terms with him and seemingly hasn't spoken to him in years. She's doing the business stuff for her father's company because it's what she thinks her father wants, but it's not necessarily what she wants. As you do her quest, she decides to do this for herself and becomes successful despite her father. All of them grow over the course of their respective stories and learn from the player to open up and be better and do what they love for themselves. The other two NPCs are characters we never get to see in full: Hobson and Casey. Hobson was the rancher before you who left one day and left you little travel logs all across the map to find and read, if you're into that kind of thing, I guess. Through these letters we learn about him, the different slimes, and his final journey through the ranch. It's revealed in one of the letters that the reason he came to the far, far range is because he was scared of staying in the same boring place his whole life. Hobson is an adventurer. Like B, he wanted endless adventure and fun, so much so that when he discovers an ancient portal in the glass desert leading to God knows where, he almost goes. But at seemingly the last second, he decides not to, because he fell in love. So he follows his passion, his love for Thora West, another NPC we meet and get requests from, and seemingly destroys the portal, leaving Beatrix some final advice. Always remember to use your head, but let your heart do the thinking every now and again. It might surprise you. Which leads us to Casey. Casey is Beatrix's special someone from back on Earth. The two used to be a couple until their passion for music and adventure led them to part ways. Throughout the game you get messages from Casey, updates, and things they never said before Beatrix left, along with some insight about their life together and Beatrix's life on Earth. We hear about how Beatrix was really into the outdoors and hiking, while Casey was more of a stay indoors and play music type. Over time they started to drift in different directions, however. It's implied that they had a mostly long-distance relationship, even before, and during the year that they did live together, something was missing. Casey says they both felt like they were giving something up. Beatrix was missing out on adventuring, and Casey on touring and getting their music out there. So, in the end they decided to follow their passions separately, as Beatrix left for the range, 1,000 light years away from Earth and Casey, while Casey was left regretting words left unsaid. But if you're like me, when you played these games, you probably ignored all of that. And honestly, that's one of the things I really like about Slime Rancher compared to these other games. Stardew Valley is kind of similar, I guess. There are these intrusive town events, but you don't technically have to go to them at all. You can stay on your farm that day, but that's boring to me personally, and I never do that. Animal Crossing is an extremely dialogue-heavy game, but technically post-tutorial, you can do whatever you want. But chances are, if you love either of these games, those are the things you're gonna like. With all these games, what people like and don't like is going to vary from person to person. The best thing, in my opinion, about all these games is that you can play however you want. From picking a character you want to romance in Stardew, what villagers you want to have on your island in Animal Crossing, and what slimes you want on your ranch. There are lots of ways to go about playing each of these games, which leads us to... When you first open Slime Rancher, and when you start a new game, you start with a brief tutorial to teach you the controls, which doesn't even feel super necessary since the controls are super intuitive. At least on PC, they work like any other FPS game I've played. After the tutorial, you are thrown headfirst into the new world to explore, speedrun, build, or make money however you want. You're given almost total freedom to explore and go wherever you can get to whenever you want. I mean, the speedruns for this game are fucking intense, I'm not gonna lie to you. The same freedom applies for Stardew Valley, and to a lesser extent Animal Crossing as well. These games help to offer the freedom we lack in real life, allowing us to do things we'd never be able to do. Going to faraway places, or talking to animals, or paying off home loans to get a mansion. Thanks, Tom Nook. But it's not just simple escapism. They help us explore aspects of ourselves and what we enjoy. At the core of all these games is the idea of finding yourself and being who you are. I know I didn't talk about them as much, but in both Stardew and Animal Crossing, we can see characters who are passionate about what they do despite whatever else may be happening. Additionally, the player freedom in both games is fun and especially evident in Animal Crossing. So why is this video about Slime Rancher specifically? During quarantine, I was on the hunt for fun games to play, to waste time and de-stress during school especially. I'd heard of and seen playthroughs of Slime Rancher before, so I picked it up when it was on sale one time, and I haven't really put it down since. It's given me a lot of things to do, and a lot of cute and fun things to try and look at. At one point, I was trying to get all the achievements with, hold on, let me check my notes, 45 possible combinations of slimes, a large open world with plenty of secrets, the mini-games and character side stories, rush mode, crafting. Look, the point is, there's actually a lot to do in this game, so it kept me very occupied for a long time. The immersion I felt helped relieve my stress, and I just got to hang out with all these cute and funny looking slimes. Top 10 comfort games right here, folks. I'm in love. Another thing I think we can all learn from Slime Rancher, but what deeply resonates with me now, is what I've been restating constantly. Finding yourself and following your passion. I'm going to be an adult very, very soon, and that's stupidly scary. I mean, I'm gonna be going to college in a few months, and be making big life decisions. It's really enough to crush me if I think about it for too long. But something Slime Rancher has shown me is that in the end, it's all gonna be okay, and that it's never too late to start again. To start fresh and new, to never be afraid to try at what you love and work to get better at it. Nothing in real life is easy or free. Everything takes effort, and sometimes you're gonna mess up, but that's okay, as long as you get back up and keep going. It's scary following your dreams, especially in the world we live in today. A world where things don't always work out the way we planned. A world that feels broken and hopeless more than anything else. It's hard to keep going, but that's what makes the end goal so gratifying, right? So I think Slime Rancher's lesson is to never give up. Never give up on something you love. Never give up on someone you love. And never give up on yourself.
Let's say we pick one out and call the whole thing ours. And even though that light we see ain't the same for you and me, well, you'll know and I'll know that you and I can't even be 1,000 light years away, and I'd still love you. Oh yes, I do.